Alright everybody, today we'll be reviewing a Gold 3 Pharah. This is on PC, we're on Watchpoint Gibraltar. Something interesting about this replay is that this player plays with controller on a PC. I think it's just a comfort thing. I would recommend, I think it's always just an advantage to be playing on the best hardware, so if you can get used to mouse and keyboard, I would recommend that. But of course, playing on a controller it will make things harder. It will not permanently hold you back in the long run, especially if you're only playing Pharah. So this player does only play Pharah to my knowledge, and there's been success, like Joystick, I'm sure on Ryan plays only controller and he's in the highest rank, so it can work. We're going to start off all of our games on Pharah scouting for DPS. So on defense it's a little less important because a lot of times they'll just go back and switch to hit scan, but when you're on attack you want to try and figure out what they have that can shoot you, because as far as one of the characters that actually can't be shot by everyone in the game, right? If they have a junk Genji, we're going to play way different than if they have a pocketed soldier and an Ashe. So scouting is going to be important, and then we're just going to have to shift our mindset ever since the rework. This character is what I like to call an opportunist. I know everyone has different names for it, but she has cycles in and out. She can spam, right? But that's not her primary objective anymore. You spam when you can, but you're looking to use your cooldowns to get in there, cause some havoc, get a kill maybe, and then leave and live, right? That's important. So we're not really just floating on the skybox anymore. We'll also look at cover usage, which is very different on Pharah than is on every other character because you're in the sky, but you are still, it's going to be a very, very important part. So again, this is Gold 3, and let's just get into it and see how it goes. Alright, so we found what they have, right? We know they have a hit scan. So far only one, and an Ana. We just saw that. So we're not too worried, but we are going to have to really respect the Ashe. We don't know how good this Ashe is yet. We'll figure that out as we play. If the hit scan is not really hitting a lot of shots on you, you can be more aggressive, but in general you want to start conservatively and then be aggressive. I also want to say that when you're going to look for opportunities to spam, or when you're spamming and then you look for opportunity to go in rather, we're going to want to prioritize using our concussion blast to get in and then our jet dash to get out. You can do it both ways, but it's a little sketchy leaving your concussion blast to go out. So that's another thing we're going to keep in mind. Of course, nothing's happened yet, but that's just something we want to think about. We have a Mercy on our team, which gives us a little more leeway to be aggressive, assuming the Mercy is with us, which she's not right now. But we already feel kind of lost, okay? So we're 25 seconds in, I'm going to go back 10 seconds, but we're just shooting bubble, and we're kind of already leaving our effective range. And the Ashe hasn't even been pressuring us, right? There's a Genji up there, and there's a Winston up there. We're not super worried about either of them. We just need to conserve our fuel, play on a high ground, play safe. If anyone gets on top of us, we have 2 movement abilities. 3 technically, including the jump. So we're not too scared right now, right? We're trying to put damage in on these characters. We're not trying to leave the fight. So back 10 seconds, you can see we're trying to float too much, and so we just used our jump jet on a 14 or maybe even 15-second cooldown just to get back up and keep shooting at them, when we could have just been like on the high ground with our fuel the entire time, right? This is still pretty safe. If you're really worried about the Ashe, then maybe you want to play somewhere else, but you're not even getting shot at. So we're kind of using all of our cooldowns just because we're not really engaging as much as we need to be at this point. Again, we use our cooldown because we have no fuel. And now we only have 1 cooldown to get away, and no fuel when we're getting dove. We should be almost full fuel with basically all of our cooldowns right here. And we throw a concussion blast at the Genji, and now we have absolutely no way to get away from this character. Alright, bailed out by our supports. Fuel management looks like something we are going to work on a lot with this. Right, we are constantly out of fuel, and it's causing us to use cooldowns when we shouldn't be using cooldowns. You can also just see you're a little uncomfortable with your aim. I don't know if you need to turn your sensitivity down. I know you're playing on a controller and that aiming is harder, especially you don't get any aim assist on PC with a controller, I believe. But if you can't hit targets at this range, You need to at least learn to aim at the ground kind of near them so you're doing something, right? Because this is a range where you need to be effective, right? And being up in the air is going to make it easier to be more effective, right? Because this angle means that it's easier to splash. Of course, you have no fuel and no cooldowns because you have no fuel, and they also have an Ash you're worrying about, but we're just not really doing anything yet, right? There we go. This is more effective. We leave? I don't know why. And look, I'm not gonna touch on this too much. I've talked about it a lot already, but we're just using fuel when we don't need to, right? Like, look, okay, getting up here, fine. We land. This should be a moment for us to be recharging our fuel. Sorry, we can just walk here and start shooting, and instead we kind of just use all of it for no reason, right? This is a great angle though. Taking off angles, short off angles like this on Pharah, especially if you have any amount of support, is strong. They're good. You're not going to want to overuse them, but in general, this is good. You should just be a little better about getting here with cooldowns and resources. Alright, this fight's over. It's not 100% your fault. But you do have some target priority issues going on as well, so we're going to keep an eye out on those. Why do we go back for the Primal Lane Winston, right? Are we going to do anything to this character? We're not. We're not really going to do anything. Maybe we can hit a concussion blast on him and help our teammate out for a second or two. But it would be much more valuable for us to take away all of his resources, right? If we can take away the Moira's attention, the As's attention, the Ana's attention, and they can't shoot or heal their Winston anymore, isn't that much more valuable than us coming over here and maybe hitting a rocket or maybe just whiffing completely? So the actual fight loss, not on you. But at this point in the game, right, we could have been doing a lot more. We probably could have charged up our first ult by now. We probably could have put a lot more pressure on their team. Second point's going to be hopefully better for you. Lots of natural cover, right? Even up high, playing around the plane, going to be pretty good. You have a lot of like boxes just sticking out on all of these high grounds that you can use. And you don't always have to be in the air, right? A lot of the times you're not going to be in the air because she has a short, not a short uptime, but she has a cycle. We're no longer just floating on skybox. We said that already, so. Okay, not our first mistake, but this is the first time we get punished for our mistakes. We're just not using cover good enough here, and cover on Pharah is going to be a little bit harder. But if you're one-tricking Pharah, this is something you're going to need to ingrain into your mind. You have to be 1 to 2 seconds away from cover at all times. And so I think there's three levels of positioning you can think about. The noob who doesn't know anything about positioning is going to be playing in a spot that's so far away that even with abilities, they cannot get to cover in time. So this specific area was not one of those. But like if you're flying like here, right? No cover, if someone starts shooting you, you're going to die. Level 2 is you're playing in a spot where your cooldowns can still bail you out, which is kind of where you are, right? We could jet dash here. If we fly up a little bit, we can go backwards. I know we get stuck trying to do exactly that. But this is kind of level 2. And so a lot of people will just get to this point where they're kind of close to cover and then forget about the rest. Level 3 is where we don't need to waste our cooldowns to get back into cover anymore. So you're, instead of being here, you're floating here, taking a couple shots. Maybe you find like an angle you can spam through. Maybe you peek out here, 2 rockets, right? You're not having to use your concussion or your jet dash to get back in cover. So this is the first time you actually die because of your positioning mistakes here. Even with the Suzu too, which is very unfortunate because your Kiriko probably just TP'd in and used Suzu for you. Exactly what she did. And so hopefully you realize, right, I need to use cover, I need to be in a good position. I also want to talk about, just real quick, not related to what's going on right now, but Pharah is just not going to be good into every composition, right? That's understandable. Characters are not always good in every situation. That's why there's 20 DPS or whatever at this point in Overwatch. 10 plus tanks, 10 plus supports. if you're truly a one trick, then this won't matter. But if you ever do want to try out different characters, pick characters that are good when Pharah is not good, right? So when you're being countered by hit scans, when they're playing a dive where it's hard for you to get on top of a Genji, hard for you to get on top of a Winston because they have so much mobility, you can't land your rockets, whatever it may be, right? Certain scenarios are just going to be harder for you to play into. You're not going to be as effective. Like shooting Winston when he's jumping in Primaline, basically all you can do to him is break his bubble, and by the time you break his bubble, he's already jumped back out. That's why target priority is important, because we're going on the back line in those situations to actually have an effect. But I'm kind of rambling now, so we'll get back to the actual gameplay. Why do we die, right? I know it's obvious. Just say it in your head. 5 seconds. Why do we die? We'll watch it one more time. This is level 1 positioning is what I'm going to call this, right? So when we died here, we were level 2 positioning. We could have got to cover, but we just didn't. We didn't think about it. This is level 1 positioning. You have no cover, right? You have nowhere to go in this position. So it doesn't matter if you use jet dash. It doesn't matter if you concussion off of something. You're just going to die, and you just have to avoid these at all costs. So whether that means you have to play on low ground, maybe you have to do that. If you have to come in on this angle, use your jet dash to get here, get some cover. Any of this is fine, but we just cannot be out in the middle of the open like this. You can even try and get up on the plane. I don't love it, but anything's better than this, right? So we die here, positioning mistake, and that's 100% on us, right? We haven't really done anything, right? I'll watch your ult. I don't know when you use it, but I'll watch your ult, and then I'll talk about using Pharah's ult in general. There's actually a lot of nuance to it. It's my personal favorite part of her kit, but I want to see how you use it before I actually go in depth and talk about what I want you to do with it in the future. And again, right, we're not getting punished for it, but just watch our positioning. Imagine if you're a hit scan and you're just sitting somewhere on cart, right? It's just so free. It's just so free. And as you get better, you know, when you climb out of gold, when you're in plat, if you make it to diamond, which you can do, anyone can make it to diamond, I swear. You just have to practice and practice and practice and fix your mistakes. Once you get to those elos, you are just going to get shredded out of the sky if you play like this, right? So step 1 to being better at your character is good positioning. Okay, I'm gonna watch this one more time. So I don't necessarily hate it. I don't hate it because my biggest advice for this character is to use your ult ideally in situations where you can live at the end of your ult. So that's going to be my #1 piece of advice, because it is just so, I'm sure you know this better than I do, it's so easy to die in this ult, right? It locks you in position and you cannot move for multiple seconds at a time, and that means any character on the enemy team who has any sort of range can just basically land free headshots on you the whole time. So using it in a situation where you can live is going to be the most important priority, and a lot of the times it's going to be solo ulting someone. So in that regard, I don't hate this. The thing is that this Winston is probably dead anyways, right? Bubbles is gone. We know our Hog is going to hook here. We know our On is going to nade, assuming she has it. We're here. I think our Reaper's not here. But with Hog hook, our rocket, on a nade, Hog primary fire, and then any sort of follow-up when he jumps away, he's probably just going to die, which is the reason I don't love it. But it could be worse, so I do also have one more thing to say. You can actually see it on screen now, it's kind of hard. When you use your ult, I want you to think about things that are hard CC. So stuns, sleeps, hooks. Just hit tab, or the select button, I think it is on controller, the one that brings up the scoreboard, right? Literally look at every single hero on the enemy team, ask yourself which of these characters have a hard CC, and then wait for those hard CCs before you use it, or ult in a spot where they have no way to use those on you. because as you climb, right, just what we were talking about earlier, as you climb, they will hit these with higher and higher percentages on you. It's going to be important you're just not, you know, hitting your ult right in front of an Ana, you're hitting your ult right in front of a Hog, whatever the case may be. Flying in the open, absolutely no cover right now. It is okay to just shoot from the ground. You do not always have to be in the air. And we are just so close right now. This is better the last 5 seconds because your team has been kind of in front of you and with you. So your Hog, specifically your Hog, and your Reaper's also been kind of close to you. That's okay, especially when you're playing these lower angles like you have been. And you've been playing lower angles because you're out of fuel and you're out of cooldowns. But like before, when you're just floating here and no one's in front of you, it's you're basically just asking to die. You're asking the Ashe to shoot you. Maybe a lot of the time she misses, especially, you know, if you have climbed from silver or if you've been in gold for a while. A lot of these Ashes just can't hit you consistently or reliably. So you're not used to having to play cover, but you need to think about cover a lot more than you are right now. It's honestly good. The stuff that you need to work on is not super complicated. So once these ideas are introduced to you, I think it's going to help a lot. Don't shoot the deflect. Not much to say about this one, but you're the reason your Ana died. And also probably your other teammates were not helping you. Or were not helping your Ana, but you just shot deflect. He had been deflecting for a little while. You just have to build the reflex not to do that. Especially on a splash damage character, you can shoot next to him and it'll still do damage to him while he's deflecting, right? Don't shoot the Sigma Grasp. Don't shoot the deflect. So let's just watch this. He's gonna kill your Ana here because of you. Unfortunate. I don't hate that you use your concussion for damage a lot, but there's going to be some times where you want to save it, and I just don't see you save it very much, so something to think about in the future. But right now we have bigger problems to fix, right? We're worried about what can give us the most bang for our buck. This is way better. Look at this. I know it's because you have no fuel. I know if you had fuel you would just be in the air right now, but you don't have fuel, and look where you're forced to shoot from. This is cover. You're using the cart for cover whether you realize it or not. And it's so much better. Little too far away from cover, little too slow in the reaction time. This is better. Okay, it's better. It sucks. We're at a mana disadvantage very early. We have Kiriko die pretty quickly, and then our front line is kind of pushed into a corner. So it's hard for us to take any like really aggressive angles, right? Like this one would be good. We love this one, but D.Va can kind of force us out. We would like to come around here and maybe distract this way. But we're playing a little more passively. I get it. And you're playing in a good position. You just don't react quick enough to the damage you're taking and get behind cover, right? We have the cooldowns to deal with this damage. And she does 2-tap you for what it's worth, so a little unfortunate, but it's going to be really important here to try not to just ult directly into a matrix. I think that's probably going to happen. I think it might not be a lot to do about it, right? You have 4 meters before you have to touch. Potentially no one even touches here, which is kind of what it's looking like. It's looking like no one's going to touch. But if you had time to think about it, you would try and avoid the matrix. Yeah, and you didn't even try and touch, right? So that's just an awareness thing. You had to realize that you had to touch there. Alright, so first round, our biggest mistakes by far. We aren't using cover while we're in the air, very infrequently, and our fuel management needs a lot of help. We're just using our fuel to use it. We're not setting up for any dives. We're not really setting up any engagements. Our gameplay loop is to be using our fuel and our concussion blast to get in range of someone who we can kill, or at least pressure heavily. Pressure them as much as we can, and then when it starts to get rough, we use our other cooldowns to disengage, right? That's our goal. We're trying to live. We're trying to put pressure on them. We spam when we can. We charge ult. We go for solo kills, usually with our ult. Sometimes we can go for 2 or 3. It really depends, but fuel management and cover usage, really, really, really big things. They are going to help a lot once you learn how to do them. I'm assuming I'm just going to see a lot of the same this round, but we'll obviously go through it and make sure that's the case. Once you fix your cover usage and your positioning and your fuel usage, we can talk about the more fun things like how to engage and when to know or when how to know when a good time to engage is, what cooldowns to look for before you should go in, what characters you can really like beat in a 1v1, right? Nice direct. Stay on the payload, right? Stay on the payload. It sucks. You don't want to be on the payload. No one's pushing it though, so you have to. Payload is moving backwards right now. We could have been on it the whole time. Oh, nice directs. Right, and we get those kills because our enemies are making mistakes, but that's good. We want to capitalize on their mistakes. This is gold. Our enemies will be making mistakes, and it's good to be able to capitalize on things like those. You just don't want to make those mistakes yourself. Oh, what a beautiful concussion blast. I haven't talked about this before. I've just been talking about using your concussion blast to engage, but anytime you can do something like that, that was chef's kiss. That is huge, so keep doing that. Nice job. Don't shoot the deflect, right? We shot the deflect, and that's the reason why we're in the situation we're in now, where we're actually super weak. So slow it down. 163 health. Now we're 51 health, right? We should have 112 more health than we currently do fighting this Genji. Yep, you needed a jump jet up here like way earlier. You know, basically as soon as you can, you're trying to disengage here because all it takes is I think it's 2 more shurikens and you're dead. So just leave, which you do. Good, let your hog deal with that. And please go find a health back. Or support, there you go. Good directs. Looks like your aim is warming up now. Lots of downtime, so I don't hate the fact you're going for the Ashe here. I think you can easily finish this kill if you're a little more aggressive. Especially like you shoot concussion blast up here earlier, it doesn't land. Maybe if you use that concussion blast on yourself, you can get here before she gets to cover, get that kill. As soon as the Ashe backs off, like coach guns down this hallway, right? Where we're not going to chase her, immediately we're focusing on who's on cart, who can we kill. So right here, this is when we gave up on the Ashe mentally. We need to turn and just start spraying on this character, and we are just too slow to do it. I don't know where we're looking, right? I don't know what we're focusing on. And now we just have to hope our team wins for us, right? We probably could have solo killed that Ana, but our team does cap. And you know, that was good for us. We got the Ana off the high ground. If we didn't shoot the deflect, it would have been really good for us. I'm fine with the barrage. Honestly, barrage is going to come after a lot of practice. As long as you're just not feeding every time you use barrage, it's probably better than nothing. So, not dying in 2 out of 2 barrages, I would call a success in gold. Notice how, since your fuel management is bad, you can't even get up here and contest this Ashe without standing on the ground for a couple seconds and waiting for your fuel to come back. Because we're just randomly floating through the air. This is a good assassination. It would just be so much easier if you had more cooldowns to do it with, right? But it's not bad. Next time you go for kills like these, which these are the kills Pharah is really good at. Isolated 1v1s. Pharah is super good at just exploding somebody. You boost up, right? Because you're flying here. Assume you have more fuel than you had, or maybe you're just walking along the ground. It doesn't really matter. You boost up. Probably in this situation you're gonna jump jet towards her because you have no concussion, no spot to concussion. You shoot primary, you shoot concussion to mess up her aim. You hit the melee combo if you can, and she's cooked. It's that easy, and you did a great job of this. It could just be even easier for you if you have better cooldown and fuel management. But this is the right idea. I just want to point out, this is what Pharah excels at, right? This is what she wants to do. This would have been a great fight for you to get on the backline. You get this kill on the Ashe. You get healed, right? And you don't want to shoot a Sigma. Sigma has so many ways to mitigate your damage, especially with 2 supports behind him. You just walk your happy little self over here, or maybe even over here. This one's excessive. I would not go here. But you just walk here, you float down, and you have access to a free backline. And there's nothing they're really going to do about that. Ashe is already dead. It's really hard for Genji to shoot you. Of course, Ana can contest you. But as long as you're playing cover properly, Ana's never going to kill you. So this would be super free for you, and then once you have the Ana's attention, or maybe even the Ana and the Mori's attention, this guy no longer is getting healed. Allows 3 members on your team to deal with him, right? Just way easier to win. Instead, we do the good thing. We kill the Ashe, which is perfect. And then we just drop down in front of a Sigma. And just shoot at a Sigma for the whole fight and die. Also, cover usage was not good in that fight, but we've talked about that before. I'm not gonna, beat you up over that. Poke for ult where you can right now. We're obviously not trying to overextend for it. This is great. If she's gonna feed, you're gonna kill her. Perfect. I think your Kiriko helped you out a little bit there because you only had to shoot 1 rocket. But this is good, and then we're just looking to poke as long as we can, get as much ult charge as we can without actually dying. Now that their Ashe is dead, it's going to be way easier for us to do that, right? We're not really scared of much anymore, just stay out of the Sigma's range. I'm fine with you going after the Genji here. Again, if we have more fuel or more cooldowns in that situation, we can deal with him better. He ends up getting nothing though. But this is a kill that you're going to pick up as you get better at the game. He's not looking at you. You're pretty close to him, right? A little bit better aim, a little bit better resource management. We get that kill on the Genji. We get our team +1. And we don't have so much downtime in between, like once we get out of here, right? Right, like we're just kind of standing here. You shoot the deflect, your Kiriko dies. You're not very happy about it. But that's not your Kiriko's fault, right? That's your fault. You shot the deflect. No one was making you do that. And you might be like, why is my Kiriko brain dead standing in front of a deflect? And your Kiriko's like, why is my Pharah brain dead shooting a deflect? Right? It's a 2-way street, so just, you gotta stop doing that. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Oh my god, it's beautiful. You just single-handedly got them off the high ground. Too bad your team's not ready to fight yet, right? Too bad your team's not ready to fight yet. But what you're doing is good. Just time it a little bit better next time. Oh, this is awesome. I need you to do the first half of that every single fight. We pressure the Ana, perfect, and then instead of going down here, if you just go back up, if you use your cooldowns to disengage, you're out of there. Scot-free, 2 kills. Like, it's so good. I can see that you have these moments where you're doing all the right things, We're just not doing them consistently enough. And again, right, our team wasn't really even there when we were doing that, which is very unfortunate. So this is the second time we've done this, right? Sigma has grasp, Genji has deflect. First time we were far enough away that we weren't at threat of dying to these abilities. This time we look like we're probably gonna die here. But either way, we don't want to be ulting into people with cooldowns, especially in a 3v5. Best case scenario, and I'm talking best case scenario, you get these kills, which is likely not going to happen even if they don't have cooldowns, but you get these kills, and then you're left in a 3v5, or in a 3v3, sorry. They still have the same amount of people that you do. And you ulted to get to that situation, right? We don't want to use our ults to catch up. We want to use our ults to get an advantage. In a 3v5, you don't need to be doing this. You need to be grouping up. You need to be waiting for your team. Also, while your team is getting stuffed here by Sigma, we take a free off angle here, right? Or here. It doesn't really matter. Or here. But we take an off angle to get some pressure off this doorway. Yep, we're dead. And I mean, that ult was just a complete waste. I'm okay with this. I think if you had just asked for healing before you went up here, you could be a lot more aggressive. Ana's not looking at you. Concussion blast. Hit your jet and you're like here and you just hit 3 free shots. Ana's dead. Maybe she hits a miracle sleep on you. Probably not though. This guy can't even see you because he's not playing in a position that can deal with you. Probably can just get a free kill on the Ana here, right? Now we don't even have our jump jet because we just used it here instead of flying up to the high ground with our fuel. But you know, again, cooldown management. We save our jump jet here by just using our normal fuel to get up. Concussion blast, jump jet, Ana dies. Now with 90 health, you kind of make the right play. You can't engage here. You need to heal up a little bit. Nice try, but no cover. Again, no cover. And this time it was the Genji that killed us. It was kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, we kind of expect that to happen, right? If it wasn't the Genji, it could be the Soldier, who we get lucky again. Soldier's not looking at us. If Soldier was playing here, we're dead way before this, right? Use your movement cooldowns to close these big gaps of cover. Right? We can very quickly get from point A to point B if we use our cooldowns properly. We go into the last fight, no fuel, no jump jet, no dash, whatever the dash is called. I'm not good with the name, sorry. And 2 seconds left on our concussion. We're just using them way too much. We need these resources for when we actually need them. We don't need to get pressured out of using our cooldowns all the time, right? Oh, where are we going? You have 2 seconds left. And that's game, right? So the biggest thing for you, by far, is using cover. And so cover is very dependent on the map you're on. It's very dependent on what characters the enemy is playing. And it's not so dependent on what characters your team are playing. That's important for other heroes more so than Pharah. But you're using cover. You're using natural cover. you're using your cooldowns to cross from cover to cover, and it depends on who is shooting you. If they have a pocketed soldier and an Ashe and an Ana, you're not going to be able to go across these covers basically ever unless they're not looking at you. Whereas if they have a Genji Torb or a Genji Junkrat or a Mei something, right, it's going to be much easier for you to apply your pressure. Once you fix your positioning, which all you need to do to fix your positioning is just actively ask yourself during your games. I like to do it in a quick play because I don't like to lose my elo, but ask yourself during your games, am I using cover right now? Am I using cover right now? Do I know my point A to point B? Do I know where my cooldowns are going to put me at the end of my cooldown cycle? If you can answer all those questions, you can use cover well. Once you fix that, you really need to work on your fuel management. I feel like you're just flying because you can fly, not because you know where you're going, where you want to fly, why you want to fly, who you're engaging on, right? It's okay to just walk around on the ground sometimes, or play on a high ground, regain your fuel, and then go and engage again. We're an opportunist. We spam, but we're not a spam character. We are a burst damage character. We're looking to assassinate. We're looking to get in and get out, okay? Once you fix those two things, those are going to be the biggest things you can work on. That's going to take you a long time, but once you fix those two things, your gameplay is going to be so much better, I promise. Then we can get into all the fun stuff that Pharah's kit really has to offer. But until you get your fundamentals down, I don't really even want to talk about those yet. So go back, watch this VOD as many times as you need to, but cover usage, fuel usage, those are going to be super, super big for you. I'll also link a educational guide that I personally like by Kajor down in the description for Pharah. It's 13 minutes long. It's not that much of a watch, so I'd recommend you go check that one out as well. And that's all I have for today. Best of luck on the ladder.